So to get started, we're going to go to WordPress.com, and then in the upper right-hand corner, you're going to click on Get Started. At this point, you're going to click Continue with Email. Go ahead and type in your school email, and then click Continue. This next field is where you identify your site name. For this example, I put in fresnogrc.org, which is actually a full domain name. If you use a domain name, it's going to try and sell you something, and we want to stick with the free. So go ahead and type your class code. I did that here, and my class code's already in use by someone else, so it added another number on there, which is not ideal. So I changed it to FCC GRC45, and that seems to work. If you're happy with the name, go ahead and click Start Free. From this screen, we want to choose the $0 a month option, so go ahead and click Start with Free. And if everything goes according to plan, you should be on your site dashboard. So after you've gone through the setup process, you'll land on this page right here. This is the back end of your WordPress site. A WordPress website is a blogging platform, is where it started, and now people use it to build well over 30% of the websites on the internet are WordPress websites. The nice thing is that you don't have to know how to use HTML or code in any way, shape, or form. You're just providing content, and WordPress is doing the rest. And so this is going to be a real quick, basic introduction into how you can use WordPress in your classroom to deliver content to students. Why would we use WordPress instead of just sending out an email? Well, a website is something that students can visit often and revisit, and any announcements or changes that you need to make, you would have to send out a new email to update students, whereas if it's on a website, they will always have the latest by just visiting that page. Okay, so let's talk about how this is put together. So first up, we've got because we're using the free version of WordPress at WordPress.com, they're always going to be trying to sell you stuff. Unfortunately, they're going to want you to buy a domain. They're going to want you to pay for hosting. You don't need to do that. Everything that you do on this site, that you need to do on this site, is available in the free package. Now, their banners will still show up, but I think that's a very small price to pay for the very powerful abilities that you have with the free version of this site. Okay, now it initially can be very intimidating. You've got all of these things on the left-hand side here. Using Canvas, we're familiar with, side navigation that takes us to various locations. And the first time we used Canvas, I remember I was pretty confused by it at first until I got the gist of it. There's some of the logic in there that just doesn't really make sense. And unfortunately, there's going to be a few of those types of things, or a few of those situations in WordPress as well. But what I'm going to do is walk you through getting started to get you quickly to have a post up so your students will be able to see something. And then we can follow up with more detailed information. Okay, so the most important thing to remember is that your site lives at WordPress.com. You see this little blue button up here, Launch Site. Now, until you press that blue button, all of your content that you create, whether it's a page, a post, excuse me, any media that you upload, anything that you put on the site is not visible to the public until you push that Launch Site button. Now, once you've pushed the Launch Site button, everything will be available that is published. You can take posts down, just like on Instagram or Facebook, you can delete posts. You can also unpublish things if you need to rework stuff. But no one will see anything until the whole site itself is launched. So we're going to do that first. I'm going to go ahead and click on that Launch Site button. You can see it's thinking about it. Yay, your site is live. Again, here's the get your domain. We don't need to buy a domain. This is the one that they provided for us. If you went through the slideshow of setting up, you saw that we created one called GRC45, and then it added an extra number on there because GRC45 may already exist. So I changed it to FCC GRC45, and that one is brand new. So this is the domain name. It's always going to be something.wordpress.com. It's not at wordpress.com. The @ symbol is generally for emails. If we want to view the site, we click on that little guy, but you also want to copy this and write it down somewhere. So I'm going to click on this little copy URL, and then I'm going to paste it into my notebook so I can make sure and remember to share this with my students. So I'm going to go ahead and click on View Site. It's going to open a new tab, and here's my site, FCC GRC45 Hello World. Fantastic. This is what is called a post. The WordPress platform was originally a blogging platform, and so its initial iteration is to show everything as a post. So the main page of your WordPress site, unless we change it, will default to show the most recent posts that you have published. So we're going to go back over here to our main site, or our dashboard, and let's go ahead and do that. Let's add a post. So I'm going to go to posts so I can see what my posts are. And here it is. This is the Hello World one we just saw over here. I don't want that. Nothing says I just started learning WordPress than having that post on there. So I'm going to delete it. Now, if I hover over this in the link here, I'm going to go ahead and click on trash. And much like trash on your computer, it will not permanently delete it. It goes into a trash, and you can take it out of the trash if at some point you want to do that. So if you accidentally trash a post that you want to keep, you can pull it back out of the trash. Okay, so I'm going to add a post. Let's do that first. Click on Add Post. All right, and you don't have to, you can read through these instructions. Right off the bat, add title is where we want to be. Let's go ahead and talk about naming structure. Like if we're going to provide some kind of organization of modules, we might want to include that in the name. We don't have to, because we can use a tag system if we want to maintain modules and keep assignments within the modules. But one thing that will be very helpful, and this is something that I do naturally in Canvas, is I put a number in front of the title of all of mine so that it's much easier to sort. Sometimes my due dates are kind of all over the place. Also, WordPress by default will show the post as it was created or as it was published. And so you have the latest published posts showing at the top of your page. But to give your students a better understanding of what the order is in terms of like, what do I do first, second, and third, I like to include numbers. So I'm going to start off by just typing a 01. That gives me all the way up to 99 posts here. And I'll add a little dash. And let's type. All right, now the post itself, when it shows on the website page, will not be that big. WordPress just makes it that large, that title large, so you know that's the most important thing, and that's what we need to do. Now, the page itself in the database system will have that name. That name will always be there. So if you come up with another 01-test assignment post on this platform and within this site, it will let you do that, but it will add some kind of designation character into the URL to differentiate between this one and the other one. Okay, there's the easy part. So let's talk about the content. Well, this editor uses something called blocks. Blocks are fun. Kids love them. Blocks can be a little confusing, but you don't have to understand how they work. You can just treat this like a like Word or another kind of document editor like Google Documents. it can just work as a word processor. So we can start by typing all right. Maybe we do a little intro. I hit return and it's given me a new line, and you can see it's called it a block, and we'll talk about that a little bit more here. I mean, I did mention it, but we'll get into a little more detail in a second. And then we can, let's say, here's the intro, goals, outcomes, and then how submit, maybe some tips and hints. This is kind of my structure, my assignments. Okay, so now each one of these is going to contain, each one of these is a block that can contain additional text if you wish. Every time you hit the return key, you create a new block. Now, blocks in WordPress are, think of them like little widgets that are configurable, and they come with pre-built design and capabilities. For instance, if we wanted to add an image here, we could come over here to this plus sign and we can find image either in the navigator over here, or you can also just search for image. And you have a couple different image options. We can just drop a single image in there. You can do a comparison image where you show before and after. We can do a gallery of images. You can also, you've got this pre-formatted media and text. So if you want to have an image with a sidebar caption, that would be the one that you'd want to use. So let's go ahead and create image here. And one of the cool things is that we can generate an image. Now, the WordPress provides, I think it's 10 free tokens to generate images, but you can upload your own. So I'm going to click on upload, and let's find an image from one of my classes here. So prepared. Hey, there we go. That looks beautiful. All right, now it will automatically size the image to fit on the page, and then it adds the image to a library of images that you can choose from later on if you'd like to. Okay, this is good to go. I'm going to not really dive into too deeply on this stuff on the right-hand side. I'm just going to go ahead and publish this. And the publishing requires 2 clicks. I'm not sure why. I guess they want to just make sure you're ready to go. You do have this option of who you can publish for everyone, folks that are subscribed or paid subscribers. So you can block out content and set up a system whereby only subscribers can access your content. We're just going to choose for everyone because we're going to keep this simple. And then I'll click publish. Now the page gets published, and it leaves the editor in place here so that if we need to make changes, we can. Let's go ahead and do one of those changes. I'm going to add a new line here. And while my block navigator's open, I'm going to go up through the text, and I'm going to choose a heading. And I'm going to change this from an H2, which is kind of big, to something a little less important like an H4. And then I'm going to say this is a heading for the following items. Cool. All right, and then I'm going to publish or save again. I don't need to publish because it's already published, and now this gets saved to the publish page. As you're working, as long as you have named the page at the top and started adding content, WordPress will keep a kind of like how Canvas does. If something goes wrong or the system crashes, you've got a backup copy of your post. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm going to go back to my dashboard now, and I want to see my site. So I'm going to hover over here. Notice the launch site isn't here anymore, but what we did is we copied and pasted, we copied our URL. So if I paste it right here, there it is, test assignment. Hello, this is our first assignment. Things for this assignment. Now, what it's doing is it's showing you a digest view. And so if I click here to open that, now I can see the full assignment, and so can your students. We've got commenting available. And that's the quick and dirty of how to launch a communication, a post to students. And this will show up on our homepage of our website. What we're looking at right now is the actual post, the details. But if I want to, I can go back to the main site and it will show me a digest of all of the recent posts. Here's my dashboard. And all of my posts are listed here. Right now, we just have this one post. So if you create one that is a possible template of sorts, you can then duplicate that to get yourself to a place where you're quickly generating consistently formatted posts for your viewers. And we can also take this site and we can, or this page, and we can unpublish it if we want to. So if we navigate to the page, over here on the, let's see where to go, publish status, right there where it says published. If you click on that, then you can tell it, you can put it back to private, or you can schedule it to be published. You can also add a password if you wanted to that page. So this is one of the terrible things about WordPress is like, who would ever know to click on that, right? Feel like there should be a big unpublish the page button, but there is not. So, but once you know that's where it's at, you'll never forget, right? Okay, so back on the main page here, let's talk about our some of the finer details of our navigator, or sorry, of our dashboard on the left here. If I choose media, this is the library of images that I've uploaded. There are plugins that you can get, so you can actually connect your WordPress site to like Pixabay or Pexels, so you can get free images, and then it copies it from those websites into your media. You do have a limit because it is a it's a free service. It's 1 gigabyte. So as long as you're not uploading like videos and stuff, you shouldn't really ever hit that limit. Like here, we've just uploaded one image and we're still at 0%. Now the pages, this is something we're going to shy away from right now, unless you want a further detailed version of how to really make this into a fully fledged website. For right now, we're just going to continue to work with our content as posts. However, we do want to make a few detailed changes, specifically in terms of making this information more usable. Landing on this page really doesn't give anyone a lot of information about what's here. So if we want to change those, we're going to do that in settings. Oops. And we're going to change our site title right here. Now this won't change the URL, the FCC GRC 45 for this example will always be that. And that's unchangeable. Once that's set, it's set. So hopefully you picked a good one, not one that's 45 characters long. Okay, so I'm going to change this title to all right. That's the actual code and name, title of this class. Then maybe I can add a tagline. All right. Choose a site icon. If you're graphically minded, you can choose a site icon. That's the thing that shows up here. It's called the favicon in that little tab up there. You can also request someone to make a logo for your site if you want to. All of this stuff here, we're going to leave the default. Week starts on Monday. You can change that to Sunday if you want. And once we have yeah, once we have that set, we're going to go ahead and choose Save Changes. And I'm going to go to that tab for this site, and I'll go ahead and reload this page. And now it's got the title of my site here. Also, there's a page called About. Now, if we go back to our navigator here, we talked about how we're going to stay away from pages and we're just going to use posts. We will have a page already set for us called About. Might as well use it. The About could be communication, like a general communication. Maybe we can change this. This is, oh. All right, I'll save that again because this is already published. By default, it's published and clickable. We just have to save it. So we come over here. Now when I click on About, it's letting folks know what's going on. Okay. Go back to our dashboard. If you want to add a page, you can. The pages will show up as you add them. The navigation will auto build itself. So if you create a page, it will show up here. The biggest hurdle, I think, for folks learning WordPress for the first time is what the difference between a post is and a page is. A post is serialized content. Think of it like a news article, I guess, of sorts. And then the site would be the newspaper that holds all of the different articles. And then the page, you could think of that as the actual page of the newspaper. Like we've got the front page of the newspaper, the back page of the newspaper. And those can hold multiple posts. Sometimes it's just one post. So if you've got a full page ad, that's just one giant post. And then there are some pages that don't use the posts at all. And then when you get into an actual website, you generally only have a specific page for your serialized content, and your homepage is static content that never changes. For what we're doing here, I think the serialized content on the homepage is the best way to go. And then as we add more posts, those show up on the homepage. Now, you can limit the number of posts. So back over in our settings here, if we go to reading, we can show how many it says blog pages show at most 10 posts. So the blog page, that's the home page right now, is set as a blog page. You can see up here the homepage displays your latest posts, and here we can tell how many posts we want to show. So if you want to limit it to 5 posts or 2 posts, you can do that. And then as the number of posts goes past that limit, it will show a little box, some navigation. Come back here. It will show some navigation at the bottom. It'll paginate. Or is it paginate? And show you additional posts past your limit. So if you wanted to show 3 posts, it will show 3 posts here. And if you've got 9, then you'll have page 1, 2, and 3. And then page 2 and 3 will go to posts 4 through 6. And then page 3 will be 7 through 9. Okay. And again, if you make any changes here, you always want to be sure and save those changes. Back on the navigation, or I keep calling it navigation, back on the dashboard side of things, it does not auto save as you're making updates because you are changing the functionality of the website. And so you'll want to click that Save Pages button. Whereas with the posts and pages, as you're editing them, it's taking snapshots along the way. In case something goes crazy, you can recover your content. Okay.